The massive ship appeared on a quiet Tuesday morning, materializing just beyond the moon's orbit with the grace of a dancer. Earth's various space monitoring stations detected it simultaneously, causing a cascade of emergency protocols to activate across every major nation. Dr. Sarah Thaden, head of NASA's Extraterrestrial Contact Division, had practiced for this moment countless times in simulations, but nothing could have prepared her for the reality. Multiple objects detected, breaking off from the main vessel, announced Captain James Rodriguez, his fingers flying across his console at mission control. They're maintaining a defensive formation, but no weapons signatures detected, yet. Sarah studied the high-resolution images flooding their screens. The alien vessel resembled a crystalline snowflake, its surface reflecting sunlight in patterns that seemed to defy physics. Are they broadcasting anything? As if in response to her question, every communication device on Earth simultaneously received the same message, translated into all major languages. We are the Meridian Collective. We come in peace and prosperity. The next 48 hours became a blur of diplomatic exchanges, emergency UN sessions, and frantic preparations. The Meridians presented themselves as a highly advanced civilization, interested in peaceful cultural exchange and technological advancement. Their ambassador, a being called First Speaker Lyra, appeared human-like enough to be relatable, yet alien enough to be believable. Tall, silvery-skinned, with eyes that seemed to contain swirling galaxies. Sarah found herself appointed as humanity's primary scientific liaison to the Meridians, working closely with First Speaker Lyra. The alien shared incredible technological insights, clean energy solutions, medical breakthroughs, and hints at faster-than-light travel. World leaders were ecstatic. Markets soared. The public celebrated in the streets. But Dr. Marcus Chen, Sarah's colleague in quantum physics, noticed something odd. The energy signatures from their ships. He whispered to her during a late-night analysis session. They're not consistent with their explained technology. They're hiding something. The truth began to unravel 3 months after first contact. Marcus discovered encrypted transmissions between Meridian vessels, using quantum frequencies they claimed were impossible to harness. Sarah found discrepancies in their biological data. Their silver skin wasn't natural, but a form of biomechanical enhancement designed for environmental adaptation. And their questions, they weren't learning about Earth's culture. They were assessing its vulnerabilities. They're preparing for something, Sarah concluded, presenting her findings to a secret committee of international leaders. The technology they're sharing, it's creating dependency. Every improvement they helped us implement has a backdoor. They could shut down our new power grids, disable our enhanced communications, even turn our improved medical treatments against us. The evidence was irrefutable, but the world had already embraced the Meridians. Their influence had spread too far, too fast. When Sarah confronted First Speaker Lyra with her discoveries, the alien's response chilled her to the bone. Clever human, Lyra's eyes swirled with dark amusement. We studied your history before arriving. Your species consistently chooses comfort over vigilance, progress over prudence. We didn't need to conquer Earth. We just needed to make you want our presence here. In 3 more months, the integration will be irreversible. But Lyra had made a crucial mistake, underestimating human determination. That night, Sarah and Marcus began organizing a covert resistance network of scientists, military specialists, and hackers from across the globe. They had 3 months to understand and counter technology that had taken the Meridian centuries to develop. The race against time had begun, and humanity's freedom hung in the balance. As Sarah looked out her office window at the Meridian ship hovering like a beautiful, deadly snowflake in the night sky, she remembered her grandfather's words. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our refusal to accept defeat, even when victory seems impossible. The next morning, she gathered her secret team for their first meeting. They had no advanced weapons, no superior technology, and no alien allies. All they had was human ingenuity, determination, and the element of surprise. For now, they would let the Meridians believe their plan was working perfectly. But in the shadows, humanity would prepare for a resistance unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Deep beneath the streets of Geneva, in a repurposed Cold War bunker, Dr. Sarah Thaden stood before a diverse group of 25 individuals, the world's best minds secretly assembled to save humanity. The room hummed with the sound of jury-rigged equipment, much of it modified to avoid detection by Meridian scanning technology. Their infiltration is more extensive than we initially believed, Sarah announced, projecting a holographic map showing Meridian influence spread across the globe. Red dots pulsed where their technology had been integrated into crucial infrastructure. They've established presence in 93% of our power grids, 67% of our medical facilities, and nearly all major communication networks. Marcus Chen stepped forward, his usually immaculate lab coat wrinkled from days of non-stop work. But we've made a breakthrough. The Meridian's quantum encryption isn't unbreakable. It's based on a mathematical principle we've seen before in nature, the Fibonacci sequence across multiple dimensions. Lieutenant Maya Patel, an Indian military cryptographer, nodded in agreement. We've been approaching this wrong. Their technology isn't superior because it's more advanced. It's superior because it works in harmony with universal mathematical constants. They didn't invent these principles. They discovered them, just like we can. The resistance team had established cells across the globe, each working on different aspects of the counter-strategy. In Tokyo, Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka's team reverse-engineered Meridian medical technology, discovering that their miraculous healing devices actually mapped and stored human genetic information. In Lagos, Dr. Oluwaseun Adeleke found patterns in Meridian power distribution that suggested they were slowly altering Earth's electromagnetic field. But their most disturbing discovery came from Rio de Janeiro. Dr. Isabella Santos, a climate scientist, detected subtle changes in the atmosphere's composition. They're terraforming Earth, she reported via secure quantum channel. The technology they gave us isn't just creating dependency, it's gradually changing our planet's environment to suit their biological needs. The news hit the resistance like a physical blow. They had less time than they thought. The Meridians weren't planning to rule humanity. They were planning to make Earth uninhabitable for humans while adapting it for themselves. Sarah's team worked around the clock, knowing that every Meridian gift accepted by Earth's governments brought humanity closer to extinction. They had to maintain absolute secrecy. The aliens had human collaborators everywhere, people who either couldn't see or refused to acknowledge the truth. Marcus developed a method to detect Meridian surveillance by tracking quantum disturbances in the air. Maya created an undetectable communication network by piggybacking their messages on the natural electromagnetic frequencies of the Earth itself. Dr. Tanaka's team found a way to corrupt the genetic data the Meridians were collecting, feeding them subtle misinformation that wouldn't raise suspicions. But their greatest asset was Dr. Adeleke's discovery in Lagos. Their technology depends on perfect mathematical harmony, he explained during an encrypted conference call. If we can introduce controlled chaos into the equation, not enough to be obvious, but enough to create cascade failures, we might be able to disable their systems without them realizing we're responsible. The resistance dubbed it Project Discord, a plan to systematically introduce controlled imperfections into the Meridian's perfect systems. It was dangerous, subtle work. Too little chaos would have no effect. Too much would alert them to human interference. Sarah watched her team grow stronger, more confident, even as the world above ground slipped further into alien control. First Speaker Lyra made regular public appearances, promising even greater wonders to come. World leaders signed treaties giving Meridians more access, more control, more influence. The public remained entranced by alien technology that seemed to solve all of humanity's problems. But in hidden bunkers, abandoned subway tunnels, and secret laboratories across the globe, humanity was slowly learning to fight back. They weren't just learning to use Meridian technology. They were learning to understand it, to see its flaws, to recognize that the aliens' greatest weakness was their belief in their own perfection. They think in straight lines, Maya observed during one strategy session. Perfect mathematical progressions, flawless logical sequences. But human thinking is different. We see patterns in chaos, find solutions in imperfection. That's what they don't understand about us. As Sarah reviewed their progress one evening, she received an encrypted message from Dr. Santos in Rio. Atmospheric changes accelerating. Estimate 6 weeks until changes become noticeable to general population. Time running out. Sarah gathered her core team. They had hoped for more time to perfect their countermeasures, to ensure their plans were flawless. But perfection was a Meridian trait. Humans would have to embrace their talent for improvisation. Project Discord begins tomorrow, she announced. We're not ready, but we'll never be ready. That's our advantage. The Meridians can't conceive of launching a plan that isn't perfect. We can, and we will. As her team dispersed to alert their global network, Sarah felt a strange calm settle over her. The Meridians had spent centuries perfecting their invasion strategy, creating foolproof plans and unbeatable technology. But they had never faced an enemy who could turn imperfection into strength, who could find victory in chaos. Tomorrow, humanity would begin teaching them that lesson. Project Discord began not with a bang, but with a whisper. Across the globe, Resistance members introduced minute imperfections into Meridian systems, a slightly misaligned power frequency here, a corrupted data stream there. Each change was too small to trigger alarms, but together they created spreading ripples of chaos in the aliens' perfect systems. Dr. Marcus Chen monitored the cascading effects from their Geneva bunker, watching as the carefully calculated disruptions began to multiply. "It's working," he announced, his voice tight with tension. Their systems are trying to correct the imperfections, but in doing so, they're creating new ones. Just like we predicted. The first visible signs appeared in London. A Meridian Medical Facility's diagnostic systems began producing errors, minor at first, then increasingly significant. In Sydney, their advanced traffic control grid started experiencing random delays. Power fluctuations rippled through Tokyo's Meridian-enhanced infrastructure. First Speaker Lyra made an emergency broadcast, her usually perfect composure showing cracks. "We are experiencing temporary system adjustments. All is under control. The Meridian Collective assures you these minor inconsistencies will be resolved shortly." But they wouldn't be resolved, because humanity had learned to weaponize chaos itself. Dr. Oluwaseun Adelik's team in Lagos had discovered that Meridian technology, in its pursuit of perfect mathematical harmony, couldn't adapt to true randomness. The more their systems tried to correct the introduced imperfections, the more errors they created. Sarah watched from the Resistance headquarters as their plan unfolded. "They're starting to notice," she told her team. "Now comes the dangerous part." The Meridians' first response was to increase their control, tightening their grip on Earth's infrastructure. But this only accelerated the cascade of failures. Their perfectly ordered systems began to buckle under the strain of trying to impose order on deliberately introduced chaos. Lieutenant Maya Patel's cryptography team intercepted increasing numbers of panicked communications between Meridian ships. "They're fighting among themselves," she reported. "Some want to abandon the Terraform project and resort to direct military action. Others insist they can still restore order through their existing strategy." Dr. Isabella Santos' atmospheric monitoring showed the first success. The terraforming process was slowing, its perfect chemical balance disrupted by the Resistance's carefully calculated interference. But victory came with a price. The Meridians began identifying and eliminating suspected Resistance members. Sarah lost contact with their cell in Mumbai. Dr. Tanaka's lab in Tokyo went dark. The aliens were adapting, learning to look for the sources of discord. But in doing so, they were being forced to think like humans, to embrace uncertainty, to act without perfect information. "They're making mistakes," Marcus observed, tracking Meridian response patterns. For the first time, They're acting on incomplete data, and it terrifies them. The turning point came from an unexpected source. Dr. Adalik, monitoring power grid fluctuations, noticed something extraordinary. The chaos they'd introduced wasn't just disrupting Meridian systems, it was creating new patterns, ones that their technology couldn't predict or control. "Look at this," he called Sarah over to his station. "The energy signatures, they're evolving. Our interference patterns are creating quantum resonances that shouldn't be possible. We're not just fighting their technology, we're transcending it." Sarah gathered her remaining team. The Resistance had lost good people, but they'd also gained something invaluable. Proof that humanity could not only match Meridian technology but surpass it. By embracing imperfection, by understanding chaos, they had stumbled upon principles that the aliens, in their pursuit of perfection, had never discovered. "We're ready for the next phase," she announced. "The Meridians think they're hunting us, but they're actually following a path we've created. Every time they adapt to our chaos, they move further from their perfect systems and closer to our way of thinking." Dr. Santos's voice crackled over their secure channel from Rio. "Terraforming process now at 30% effectiveness and falling. But Sarah, they're gathering their fleet. Military action is now almost certain." Sarah looked at her team, tired, scared, but undefeated. The Meridians had come to Earth expecting to find primitive beings they could easily subjugate. Instead, they had found a species that could turn their greatest weakness, their imperfection, into their greatest strength. "Let them come," she said. "They've spent the last 6 weeks learning to think like humans. Now it's time to show them how humans fight." As if in response to her words, the bunker's sensors detected massive energy signatures in orbit. The Meridian fleet was mobilizing, preparing for what they surely thought would be a swift and perfect victory. But they were no longer facing the disorganized planet they had first encountered. This time, they would face a humanity that had learned to harness chaos itself. Project Discord had succeeded beyond their wildest hopes. But now came the true test, not just disrupting the Meridian's perfect systems, but defeating them completely. As Sarah watched the alien ships moving into attack position, she knew that the real battle for Earth was about to begin. The Meridian warships descended through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars, their crystalline hulls refracting sunlight in dazzling patterns. But humanity was ready. Project Discord had taught them more than just how to disrupt alien technology. It had shown them how to transcend it. "All resistance cells, execute Operation Thunderbolt," Sarah commanded from the Geneva bunker. Across the globe, hidden quantum transmitters activated, broadcasting the carefully crafted chaos patterns that Dr. Adalik's team had perfected. The effect was immediate and devastating. Meridian ships, designed to operate in perfect mathematical harmony, began experiencing cascading system failures. Some lost their anti-gravity fields, others found their weapon systems refusing to target properly. The aliens' perfect formation dissolved into disorder. "They're adapting," Marcus reported, watching the tactical displays, "switching to backup systems that operate on different mathematical principles." But this was exactly what the Resistance had anticipated. Lieutenant Maya Patel's team launched their counter-offensive, a virus that didn't just attack Meridian systems, but used their own adaptive algorithms against them. The more they tried to adjust, the more vulnerable they became. First Speaker Lyra's voice boomed across all frequencies. "This primitive resistance is futile. You cannot hope to defeat technology perfected across millennia." Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. "Send the response, Maya." Every screen on Earth, every Meridian communication channel, displayed the same message. "We don't need to be perfect. We just need to be human." The battle raged across the globe. In orbit, Meridian ships found their perfect targeting systems confused by seemingly random movements of Earth's hastily retrofitted defense satellites. On the ground, their troops encountered guerrilla tactics that defied their combat algorithms. Dr. Isabella Santos' team in Rio used the Meridian's own terraforming technology against them, creating unpredictable atmospheric disturbances that their ships couldn't compensate for. Dr. Tanaka's last transmission from Tokyo had included the key to turning their medical technology into a weapon, not to harm, but to confuse their biomechanical enhancement systems. But the Meridians were far from defeated. They launched a desperate counterattack, targeting Earth's major cities with weapons of unimaginable power. Yet even here, humanity's preparation paid off. The Resistance had anticipated this move, evacuating crucial areas and setting up decoy energy signatures to draw their fire. Multiple impacts detected, Marcus announced, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. But casualties are minimal. The SHIELD network is holding. The SHIELD network, perhaps humanity's greatest achievement in the past weeks, was neither purely Meridian technology nor entirely human innovation. It was something new, born from the chaos patterns they had discovered. It didn't try to create perfect protection. Instead, it adapted constantly, its imperfections making it stronger. In orbit, the Meridian fleet's perfect formation had completely broken down. Their attempts to impose order on the battlefield were failing as human forces exploited the mathematical blind spots in their tactics. Ships designed to fight in precise, coordinated patterns found themselves unable to cope with the seemingly random but carefully calculated chaos of Earth's defense. Their primary command ship is moving into position, Maya reported. They're preparing for something big. First Speaker Lyra's vessel, a massive crystalline structure that dwarfed all other ships in the Meridian fleet, began to pulse with energy. "You leave us no choice," her voice echoed across all channels. "We will reset your world's technology to a pre-industrial state. You can either accept our rule or watch your civilization collapse." But as the command ship charged its primary weapon, Dr. Adalik's voice cut through the tension. "Now, Sarah, the resonance patterns are aligned." Sarah gave the order they had prepared for, the culmination of everything they had learned about chaos and order, about perfection and adaptation. Every resistance cell on Earth activated their quantum transmitters at precisely imperfect intervals, creating a cascade of energy that rippled through space itself. The effect on the Meridian fleet was catastrophic. Their technology, based on perfect mathematical harmony, couldn't handle the controlled chaos humanity had unleashed. Ships began to shut down, their perfectly aligned systems overwhelmed by patterns they couldn't comprehend or counter. First Speaker Lyra's command ship, at the center of the energy web, was the first to fall silent. The massive vessel hung in orbit, its crystalline surface dark for the first time since its arrival on Earth. "All Meridian ships are experiencing total system failure," Marcus reported, his voice filled with disbelief. It actually worked. Sarah watched the tactical displays, showing Meridian vessels hanging powerless in orbit or drifting in the atmosphere. They had done it, not by matching the aliens' perfection, but by transcending it entirely. By embracing chaos, humanity had discovered something beyond both order and disorder. But as the Resistance celebrated their victory, Sarah knew this was only the beginning. They had defeated the Meridians, yes, but they had also discovered principles of science and technology that would change human civilization forever. The real challenge, and the real opportunity, was just beginning. 3 months after the battle that humanity had dubbed the Discord Victory, Sarah Thaden stood before the United Nations General Assembly. The chamber looked different now. Meridian technology had been stripped from the walls, replaced by new systems that combined human innovation with the principles they had discovered during the conflict. "The Meridian threat has been contained," she announced to the assembled representatives of Earth. "Their ships remain in orbit, maintained under quantum containment fields. Their crew have been offered a choice: peaceful cooperation or supervised return to their home systems." The victory had changed everything, and nothing. Humanity had won not by becoming like their adversaries, but by becoming more fully themselves. The principles of controlled chaos they had discovered had applications far beyond warfare. Dr. Marcus Chen now led the new Global Innovation Institute, where scientists studied the intersection of order and chaos they had stumbled upon during the conflict. We're not just copying Meridian technology anymore, he explained to visiting dignitaries. We're creating something entirely new. Their pursuit of perfection led them to miss countless possibilities. By embracing imperfection, we're discovering principles they never imagined. In Lagos, Dr. Adelik's team had transformed their quantum disruption techniques into a revolutionary new power generation system. It's not about perfect efficiency, he explained during a global broadcast. It's about adaptive harmony with the natural chaos of the universe. The Meridians sought to impose order on nature. We've learned to dance with it instead. Lieutenant Maya Patel's cryptography work had evolved into a new field of mathematics that combined precision with unpredictability. Every student of classical mathematics learned that chaos was the enemy of understanding. She wrote in a groundbreaking paper, "We've discovered it's actually the key to deeper knowledge." The Meridian survivors, particularly the younger ones, showed surprising adaptability. Some chose to stay on Earth, fascinated by humanity's different way of thinking. First speaker Lyra, however, chose to return home with a warning for her people. "Humanity is not to be underestimated," she declared before departing. "They have found a path we never saw, and their journey is just beginning." Dr. Isabella Santos' environmental research had taken an unexpected turn. The chaos patterns that had disrupted Meridian terraforming were now being used to heal Earth's existing environmental damage. Their technology tried to force changes, she explained. "Ours works with Earth's natural systems, guiding rather than controlling." But perhaps the most profound changes were philosophical. Humanity had learned that their greatest perceived weaknesses, their imperfection, their unpredictability, their embrace of chaos, were actually their greatest strengths. Schools around the world now taught the discord principles, showing how controlled chaos could lead to innovation and growth. Sarah walked through the newly established Museum of First Contact in Geneva, where the story of the invasion and humanity's response was preserved. The final exhibit always made her pause. A simple display showing a Meridian crystal next to a human-made quantum processor. The crystal was perfect, flawless, and dead. The processor was irregular, adaptable, and humming with life. "We kept samples of their technology," Marcus said, joining her at the display. "Future generations need to understand both the allure and the limitations of pursuing perfection." The Resistance Network had evolved into a global innovation consortium, with cells around the world now collaborating on peaceful applications of their discoveries. Dr. Tanaka's medical research had bloomed into an entirely new understanding of human biology, one that worked with the body's natural chaos rather than trying to impose artificial order. As Sarah prepared to leave the museum, a group of school children rushed past her, excited to see the exhibits. One young girl paused, looking up at her with curious eyes. "Dr. Thaden," she asked, "why didn't the Meridians see what we could see?" Sarah knelt down to meet the child's gaze. "Because sometimes the most important discoveries come from being willing to be wrong, to be imperfect, to try things that might not work. The Meridians sought perfection, but humanity. We seek understanding." The girl nodded thoughtfully and ran to join her classmates. Sarah watched her go, reminded of why they had fought so hard. The Meridians had come to Earth expecting to find primitives they could easily conquer. Instead, they had found a species that could turn chaos into creation, imperfection into innovation, and defeat into triumph. As she left the museum, Sarah looked up at the night sky. The contained Meridian ships still orbited above, their crystalline hulls now serving as a reminder rather than a threat. But beyond them, the stars beckoned. Humanity had learned its lesson well. They would go to the stars not as conquerors seeking to impose perfect order, but as explorers ready to embrace the beautiful chaos of the universe. The Meridian invasion had intended to be the end of human independence. Instead, it had become the beginning of humanity's greatest journey.